Hey friends, so today we're going to talk about on week 3 of setting goals and accomplishing them. So the first week we talked about the desires of the heart. So that is the very thing that God has given us. When we have that true desire, that true passion, like, man, I want to do this one day. I just don't know how I'm going to get there. Or I'm kind of afraid to say that maybe say out loud what you want to do, maybe what you desire. Maybe you've tried it and you failed. There's so many different things, oppositions and things that have happened in our lives, why we kind of stop reaching our goals, or maybe we kind of tried and then we gave up and things of that sort, or we just never tried. So week 1, we're kind of talk a little bit about the desires of our heart and what God says about that. Week 2, it's about writing it down, making it plain. We go based off of Jeremiah 29:11, which God says he has a plan and it's a good one. And because we know that God has a plan and it's a good one, we have to remember that it is a plan. And what a plan is basically God's a God of order, so there's going to be steps in order to lead us to that very thing that he has called us to do. Now, it's not like a final destination or anything of that sort. It's just that he has to grow us and prepare us. We don't go straight into calculus that we don't even know what 1 + 1 is, right? So that's kind of a bit of us, God preparing us to where we are. Same thing with Joseph. He was in the pit. He went from the pit to the palace. There was things that he learned in those hard moments and those hard trial and errors and ways and situations, accusations and everything, right? He learned from that, and that's why he was able to sustain and maintain and obtain the kingdom and that position that he had. And then he was also able to, it was a bigger picture also to help his family as well. So there's so many amazing things. So today, what we're talking about, in Romans 8:28, this is like my favorite scripture. So it says, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who are loved and are called according to his purpose for them. Now, this whole chapter in Romans 8 is really good, so I recommend that you go check it out. So why do I love this scripture? Well, it was kind of, you know how you're afraid to go step out and try new things because what if you fail? Well, what if you fail? Right? At least you know. And like I said, always see the things that don't work out as variables. So don't always think that the whole situation went bad. You know, like for instance, if you go and start a new bakery and you start cooking things and let's say the cookies don't come out well. Well, was it the flour that you used? It doesn't mean that the whole thing is a flop and that you're not meant to be a baker, because if that's your passion and the thing that you feel like you've been called to do, then it's not always necessarily the whole big thing that you throw in the towel. Maybe there was an ingredient that was wrong. Maybe there was, I don't know, a cheaper supply, a better supply. Maybe there was something that just didn't go off. So look at things as variables when things don't work out. And honestly, you just have to practice at your craft. So if you feel like you've been called a baker, then continuously bake. Bake when you can. I know it can be expensive at times, so it's not about the finances. It's about what can you do right now. So that's what I'm going to recommend. Romans 8:28 basically says God is going to turn all the good. So then these are great opportunities for you to see what you can and cannot do. And maybe when you step out, you begin to realize what you like and what you don't like by that particular thing that you are reaching out to do. For instance, I know that with some of the things that I love to do counseling, but where are the areas do I like and not like and things of that sort? What am I good at? What am I not good at? Or what do I need to get strengthened in? What do I need to go read more on? And I work on those areas. One of the things that John Maxwell said, he said that don't work on your weaknesses, work on your strengths. And that really spoke volumes to me, because if we're working on our strengths to make them stronger, we're not really focused on all the weaknesses, which is kind of a negative mentality if you think about it, if we're just focused on the weaknesses. But I kind of want to add to that as well. Not only that, but I say do something that counters your weakness to make it look like strength. For instance, what I tend to do is if I know that I tend to forget things, right, and that's like my weakness, the way I counter it is I tend to text myself or put it on a calendar right then and there, or write a note to myself. I usually tend to text myself, which is kind of crazy, but it works. So I counter that, so therefore I tend to remember things, even though I'm kind of weak in remembering things, because I have a plan of action to make it look like that's my strength. That's kind of the same thing for you guys. So there's always things you can find out about yourself. So it's kind of a self-assessment as you go out and try these new things. So another thing, for instance, that I really wanted to do was to make these videos. I really wanted to be a speaker and just go out there and just teach and get better and things of that sort. Well, one of my biggest issues was anxiety. I mean, you guys, you have no idea. Some of you guys know me, so you might have an idea. I couldn't talk in front of the camera. I couldn't even, oh my gosh, talk in front of people. I'd get nervous, scared. I would talk myself out of it. I could talk myself into it and then all of a sudden turn myself out of it. So I knew that if I was meant to be a speaker or even do videos or do anything of that sort or stand in front of people or an audience and talk to them, I needed to work on that. And that was the very thing. That was my focus, to overcome anxiety. Because I knew that even though I knew God called me to be a speaker, it seemed as though the anxiety kind of like made me feel like, well, maybe I'm not called to be a speaker because I have all this anxiety. But I knew in my heart that I was meant to do this very thing. Now, where it goes or how it ends up happening or how it ends up, flourishing or not, I don't really know. I just know that this is something that I'm meant to do. So I began to work internally like, Lord, I know you say be anxious for nothing, but I know it's a trauma or something of that sort that's really kind of immobilizing me. What's that body experience that keeps bringing me to this point of anxiety where I just can't do this? I've been working on myself time and time again. Lord has shown me. In fact, I've had so much amazing breakthrough that I've been able to also teach this to other people. So there was greater things out of all this. Me striving to be able to do the thing that I know that God has called me to do has bared fruit in other areas. So that's been pretty awesome and very humbling experience. And I'm very grateful and thankful for that. But as I began to work on that, and now I can speak in front of people. It's still a work in progress. I'm still working on it. I'm still practicing, hence the videos, right? So I want to encourage you, if you truly, genuinely feel that God has called you to do something and you feel like something is kind of countering that makes it look like maybe you're not supposed to, just like with me and anxiety and I want to be a speaker, maybe that's just something. If you truly desire, what can you do to overcome it? What can you do to counter it? What can you do? And if you're not sure, please direct message me. I'd love to help you out. Maybe we could talk about some of those things, how we could do those things. So Romans 8:28, remember, you either succeed or you learn. It's not always a failure. It may feel that way, but you always learn when things don't work out. Know that God has a plan and it's a good one. Know that God will give you the desires of your heart. And always know that God is on your side. He wants to fulfill the very things that He placed in you. It is just us that has to want it too as well. I love you guys. Stay connected.